Hello and welcome, heroes, to the Crit Academy. I am your host, Justin.
I'm your co-host, Ian.
And I am your guest host, Alex Bob.
Yay!
Yep.
We hope to inspire you with creative content that you can bring with you on your next adventure. Before we get into our main topics, some people may not know Alex Baum. I absolutely adore her content. Would you like to give yourself a plug?
Hi, my name is Alex Baum, misspelled, of course, AELX, because I am incredibly dyslexic and it spreads its way into everything that I do. I am two parts. I am a TikTok creator where I focus mostly on dungeon mastering, game mastering, trying to put a little more pizzazz into your game mastering, giving you a little food for thought, things like that. And then on the side of Twitch, I also have chit chat, sit down, talk about whether a gelatinous cube is vegan or not. We decided it is not vegan because it's closely related to a jellyfish, and a jellyfish is not vegan. Fun fact. And then also every other Friday, we have the amazing Justin on my stream for Initiative and Intrigues, which is my D&D live show, which is also on YouTube if you want. And we're also now getting into Magic the Gathering. In fact, right after this stream, I will be streaming opening up the new box of Magic the Gathering Kamigawa Neon Tokyo, which is super exciting.
Cyber Ninjas, yes!
It's really good, and I've been dying all day. I actually went and cooked, meal prepped for the week because I couldn't open it, and I just didn't know what to do with myself.
Something to do. That's awesome. Well, we are so happy to have you. Sorry we ran into some technical difficulties, but that is not going to stop us from having a wonderful time here on the show today. As you guys can tell, Brandon is not here, so Alex was very happy to drop in on us and fill in for him. So I appreciate that. So today I'm really excited to talk about, we don't generally do rank class stuff. So this is
There's a reason for that, though.
Right, because we can't never agree on anything.
Blood may be spilled in those cases.
So, but today we're going to attempt to rank we've kind of ranked them already. We're going to talk about some of our top 5 healing subclasses. Now, all 3 of us ranked stuff, and I took the average and determined where they fit on this line after narrowing it down to 5 or 6 of them. So we are going to work backwards, starting with number 5. The hope is that we'll have a little bit of back and forth, and maybe some new player tips will come out of some of the shenanigans of these different mechanics. So our first...
Oh, right.
Yeah, I need that. Sorry, mine's still booting. So for the first one, which is the 5th on our list, we are going to talk about the Celestial Warlock. This is certainly something that I didn't expect to end up on this list, but actually looking at the mechanics of the Celestial Warlock and how the fact it doesn't rely on spells, I feel like it really gave it a good place on this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yes and no, but hey.
You don't think it's a good one?
Well, I mean, it does, but it still does rely on spells, but we'll get more into that.
Okay. Before we kind of give our thoughts, Alex, what are your thoughts on this? I see that you gave it, a 3?
I was the one that gave it the highest rating. I gave it a 3, and both of you gave it a 4. But I thought that the Celestial Warlock. So whenever I go into these kind of rankings, I kind of do 2 things. I go not only for ability to heal, but also for originality of how the mechanics work, because of course, Life Domain Cleric is the best healer, but no, does it the best healer because I've played a Life Domain Cleric, and it's very boring to play, in my opinion. And so the reason why I ranked this a 3 is because like you said, they have the hang on, it's right here. Then at first level, you gain the ability to channel the celestial energy and heal wounds. You have a pool of D6s that you spend to fuel this healing. The number of dice in the pool equals 1 plus your warlock level. As a bonus action, and that was really important to me. That was the thing that was important to me. You can heal 1 creature you can see within 60 feet of you, spending dice from the pool. The maximum number of dice you can spend is at once is equal to your charisma modifier. Mm-hmm. And then you roll the dice that you spend and then add them together and then restore that number of hit points. That's a bonus action. Absolutely. That's better than Bardic Inspiration, in my opinion.
Oh, really? You think so?
Yeah, like, because Bardic Inspiration, you add it to the D20, so there's not really like you could still not like a win or like,
Right.
succeed. Where this is just like, boom, you get it. So like, I like this one a lot more than you guys liked it. But I also do agree that it is a half caster. It's a warlock. It's a half caster.
Well,
And that
I think it actually technically doesn't even fit into half caster because it's
Wait, really?
yeah, technically, warlocks actually are classified as full casters, but that's another topic unto itself.
that I didn't know.
Well,
Anyway.
I've always known Warlock as being one of the half casters, and one of the people that don't get all of the spell slots that everybody else gets.
Yeah, it definitely that's the metric.
And that definitely was the reason why I put it at a 3 instead of like a 2, or the other things outranked it. So I actually agree with you guys a lot that like the limited spellcasting, but that pool of healing, man, it's a little too sexy for me.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. What are your thoughts?
Well, the Celestial Warlock, keep in mind it does have healing spells, and the benefit is it gets these, like, because it's a warlock, these spells back after a short rest.
That's a big selling point.
Yeah. But that also means it has all the flaws a warlock has too.
That's also true.
They only have so many spells at once, and their spell list for healing is nowhere near as exhaustive as the other classes on this list. So they have, and the other thing too is their ability, the one that allows them to heal is actually similar but worse than the ability that the Circle of Dreams Druid has.
Oh, I see what you're saying, and you're right. They don't. I think that, but what I think the fact that if a game is running and the assumption is they should be running 5 to 6 encounters a day,
right?
That, and remember, warlocks cast at the highest level possible as well, which is a huge bonus. But the fact that they get those spell slots back on a short rest, if you're following the appropriate number of encounters a day, they actually start to come out ahead. And that's the assumption we make in this analysis, right? That the regular adventuring day is going to be 5 to 6, encounters.
Potentially.
And at that point, a healer is going to be stretched pretty thin. Which is a big problem. The other thing that I think that really made the Celestial Warlock stand out is the fact that what Alex just pointed out, the fact that it's a bonus action, making it far superior to healing. What's the bonus action healing spell? Healing Wind? Healing Word, that one. And that already is super powerful because that means not only can the Warlock pop somebody up as a bonus action, they can still blow away another minion, which kind of brings us into the big question here. What determines if something's a good healer? Is it just the raw damage output or healing output, or is it the versatility that comes with it? Because the Celestial Warlock does get access to Cure Wounds, right? And
I was going on the raw healing output for my rankings, so
right, and that's okay. And so, and I'd like to hear what Alex has on that point. But we got to remember, it gets access to a curing spell, and its pool of healing is not a spell, so it can do the bonus action and a Cure Wounds in the same turn.
Yep.
And I think that pulls it ahead of the Circle of Dreams Druid.
Yep. But the Circle of Dreams Druid also can do the same thing.
I did not know that. That's not true.
Yes.
Yeah, they have, because they've got a mechanic too.
That does the same thing, only farther range.
Yeah, 60 feet.
But it's not for as many points.
What's
that?
The
points. It's not the same dice roll. I think this Circle of Dreams Druid is a D4, not a D6.
Yes, it's weaker.
I'd be able to tell you that.
Yeah. Hey, welcome to my world.
Okay. Yeah, but you had your laptop on dual monitor. I don't.
Oh yeah, so you're stuck with that. There's a lot that goes on there, but for our fifth one, I think the Celestial Warlock really falls in good. Is there any particular invocations that you think really fit this thing? Or not invocation, pacts. For me, it's the Pact of the Chain and getting the familiar, because you can deliver your Cure Wounds through the familiar.
Yep.
Right, which gives you a mobile healing station, because the Warlock doesn't have to be there to heal. I don't think, because the minion can, the Find Familiar can do it. What are your thoughts on that, Alex?
I just really love the idea of like the town is getting attacked by like gnolls or something, and there's this civilian who's like on the ground. He's like, oh god, and he's like the world is on fire around him, and then just running up to him, there's this imp, and the imp's like, please don't run, please don't run, please don't run. And he's like, oh god, and he's like, I'm gonna heal you, I promise, just don't run, come on, I got it.
I love that.
So great.
That's hilarious, and I think that would make some. I tried to heal him. He died. Why? He was running away from me. I love that. That is so great. Was there any invocations or anything that you guys thought that really fit the theme at all?
I was looking up something else just now. So
for the invocation or something else in general?
Something else in general.
Okay. So the Warlock is definitely something I wasn't. There's a couple on here I wasn't expecting to make this list, but that does make our fifth spot based on our average rankings.
Oh, and the Circle of Dreams Druid also uses D6s.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Does it have an imp?
No.
Does it get its slots back on a short rest?
No, but it has way more slots.
Fair enough.
And spells that most other classes don't even have access to, which were so awesome that what's going to nerf it.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about
I might be sore of being put on our rankings.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm upset where this fell in, because for this class, I put it at number 1. I think, hands down, the Lore Bard is the single best healing class in the game. And I
know why you put it at number 1, but doesn't mean I agree with the logic behind it.
That's fine. I will say mine. You can disagree, and then I will tell you why you're wrong. So everyone knows that the Bard has access, is a full spellcaster, has access to a lot of things. The Lore Bard specifically can pull spells and mechanics from other classes.
Up to 2 spells, I believe, correct?
Well, 4 actually, because you get it at the Magical Secrets, you get twice as a Lore Bard.
Okay.
Once at 6th, I think, and the other at 10th. But anyways, so the first thing I want to touch on, and this makes the most sense, is Bardic Inspiration. Bardic Inspiration is not a direct heal, and this is where it comes back when I'm talking about what satisfies the role of healer, right? And for me, Avoidance is just as potent and just as effective as any healing spell, and I would argue that it's more so. So with Bardic Inspiration, successfully giving players an option to a bonus to save against a dangerous spell, best kind of healing. But most importantly, I think that Vicious Mockery is one of the best healing spells, because a single missed hit from a powerful enemy is far more advantageous than a healing spell to try to recoup those lost hit points.
But once again, though, I was going off of straight up healing, not damage prevention.
And that's okay.
And I have a rebuttal against the cutting words.
Go ahead, and then we'll let Alex take over.
The spell Bane.
What about it?
It does the same thing, but to more guys.
Minus D4 and is easily resisted too, but yes. But they also get that.
So, if they want it.
Right. All right, Alex, what do you think?
So the reason why I put the Lore Bard at a 5, I'm sorry, is because it's just too, okay. I don't really okay, you're gonna get into this.
She's like, Justin, you're wrong, asshole. Now I'm gonna tell you why.
You're wrong. No. I don't really like the Lore Bard. I like it, but I don't really like it because it is just so spread thin, in my opinion, that whenever you get into the higher levels, whenever everybody else is just doing this insane stuff, you just become a Swiss Army knife. And like, it's cool to be a Swiss Army knife. It's great to be a Swiss Army knife. But whenever you come into healing, whenever you do healing, that is more thinking, in my mind, thinking towards mechanics and stuff like that. And whenever you're a Swiss Army knife of persuasion and deception and all that kind of stuff, that takes because D&D is all about like, all right, I'm going to give a little here and take a little here and all that kind of stuff. And you only have a certain amount of power that you're able to get to before level 20. And so I feel like it's spread so thin that a Lore Bard would just not be an adequate healer for, a paladin, a barbarian, if you got no other half healers, if you have no other healing in your party, it would be like if you had a Lore Bard and a paladin, that'd be chill. Like, that'd be great. But like, whenever it's just the Lore Bard, like, that's kind of how I pictured it, was the sole healer. I was like, it's just too thin whenever you get higher up.
Yeah. Well,
I can see Justin getting spicy.
Yeah. Well,
I can see him getting spicy.
Yeah. Well, in a similar vein, I put down that the lore bard for more or less is the jack of all trades, master of none, and I do believe it is a competent healer. I just don't believe his healing, however, is particularly exceptional.
Well, and I would agree if you're going for like raw like numbers,
right? And I have ran a game was in the party. The only healer was a lore bard, and quite frankly, they did their job. So
and that's good. So the other thing I want to talk about is they have features built into their mechanics that do that. Song of Rest, for instance. So hit dice are precious and only recover half during a long rest. And so giving a little extra boost to everyone during a short rest when they're recovering hit points is pretty potent as far as recovery. Sure, it's not recovery in combat, but going into the next battle, that is a powerful resource. And they do get access to like cure wounds and stuff like that. But because of their magical, the College of Lore magic, what's it called? The magical secrets, which they get 2 of, they can certainly fill and pick up any healing spells from any class that they want. So that kind of offsets the fact that they don't already have access to those. But then
they can only pull so many, of course.
Right, you're still limited, but if you're going to pick 4, you're going to pick you pick the ones that are potent, right? The other thing I wanted to touch on is, I kind of touched on bardic inspiration, but when you become a lore bard, you also get cutting words, which once again is a mechanic that when a creature that you can see within 60 feet makes an attack roll, ability check, or damage roll, you can use your reaction to expend a bardic dice and reduce the effect or the number by that amount. Once again, that could turn a very powerful ogre's hammer to your face to a miss and completely negate, a potential of, 30, 40, 50 damage, depending on the level, right? And that to me, once again, as a healing power, avoidance can be far more valuable because what level spell do you have to cast to restore, just 50 hit points?
A big one.
And that's just, even if we let's start at level 1. We got a kobold, right? Kobold does 1d6 plus 2, I think, right? So at max, it can do 8. How much can a first level spell do at that? Cure wounds, 1d8 plus the spellcasting modifier, right? So let's assume a spellcasting modifier of 3. So the most we're going to do is 12. That's great. Now you're out of first level spell slot, but I can cast Vicious Mockery over and over and over. Anyway, so that's why I think it deserved to be higher up, but we're putting it at the 4. Garwin does say a lore bard as a healer. I could see being very tempted to do something other than healing. It could help out the situation. I agree very much. Is there any other comments on the lore bard before we move to number 3?
No, that's good.
I hate that I can't move my mouse up to scroll up. I actually have my show notes open now, so you don't have to keep that open for you can use that whole side for you if that makes you better.
Oh, I still need it, so.
Oh, well, anyways, so do you want, Alex, do you want to tell us about our number 3 ranked choice here?
Yeah, so number 3, we put Way of Mercy Monk, which actually, surprisingly, all of us kind of put him in the same area. 2 3s and a 2, so yeah, we all kind of agreed that like upper middle. Way of Mercy Monk is really, really interesting because it's a beautiful. First of all, the story behind Mercy Monks is just very beautiful. If you haven't had a chance to learn about Mercy Monks, I highly recommend it. I'm not a big fan of monks, but like this one's amazing. The only thing is that there is a good 50-50 split, in my opinion, whenever it comes to the healing aspect and the damage aspect. And the reason why I decided to put them at 3 is because, I put them at 2. The reason I put a Mercy Monk at 2 is because while I love how much versatility there is, it's a lot of like either or. You can spend your key on hurting or your key on healing. It's like there's not really like there's not, and that could be a very, very fun thing to play, a fun little game to play with yourself. Like, oh God, do I need to save this for healing? But at the same time, there's just some that are a little bit better. Right.
But it's worth noting though that they are, for the most part, a okay healer. Until they hit level 11.
And that's the big pull that pulls this in because honestly, I originally had the one of the druids on here and I changed it because everything I read and the numbers I was looking at convinced me otherwise. But originally I had it as just an honorable mention. and I had
you
the
want me to
druid
read
on
it?
here instead.
And honestly, I think it should have stayed in honorable mention because all the healing doesn't come online until 11. And let's be real here, most games don't make it that high.
Do you guys want me to read the level 11 feature?
Sure, go ahead.
Absolutely. So level 11, you get Fury of Healing and Harm, this is what was I talking about, the choice. Starting at level 11, you can now I don't know what that is. Meditate out a flurry of comfort and hurt. When you use your flurry of blows, you can now replace each of the unarmed strikes with a use of one of your hands of healing, or with one of your hands of healing without spending a key point for the healing. In addition, whenever you make an unarmed strike with flurry of blows, so the same conditions, you could instead use the hand of harm, which is something that you get previously, to strike out without spending a key point for your hand of harm. So essentially, it makes hands of harm and hands of healing free. And the really easy thing is hands of healing, they get hit points equal to a roll of your martial arts die plus your wisdom modifier.
Yep.
And that can be quite a bit,
especially out of combat.
Well, and beyond that, remember, Hands of Healing says you can replace one of your Flurry of Blow attacks, which means you can do it multiple times. And I really think that's what makes this one of the top healers, because I'm imagining a chiropractor running and just like bang, bang, crack, crack, and getting you into position. But since you can replace some of your Flurry of Blows, rolling your martial arts die and adding your wisdom modifier instantly makes it very potent. Not only does the minimum healing out heal the features such as cure wounds or healing word, but because you're a monk, just like the warlock, you get your key points back on a short rest. So there's no reason not to constantly do it. And I think that is really interesting. And the fact that you could run bitch slap an enemy and then run and flurry of blows your ally is pretty interesting too, I think.
And I believe Flurry of Bose is 3 hits, right?
Well, it's your action to hit, and then you get 2 extra hits, right? I think. So 3 total, but only 2 would be healing.
So you get 2 that you can do healing hands, but if you're level 11, you probably have a 20 in wisdom anyways. And so that is 10 hit points right there.
Dalcinia says, my sister played it as a pressure point healing where a bunch of really fast jabs released the body's chi and allowed it to rapidly heal like a healing spell. That is awesome.
And it is worth noting that if I recall correctly, the Way of Mercy monk at higher levels, once again, can revive dead characters.
Oh yeah, just kick them awake. Hey, stop sleeping, asshole! That's what I envision anyway. Kicking somebody awake. All right, so this is once again, this is very different. In our Way of Mercy monk doesn't have a lot of tools outside of that, but that is a very potent direct heal mechanic to have. Once again, the martial arts die scales with the player. It recharges on short rest, actually 30 minutes actually technically, so there is some benefits there if you can squeeze those in. And more importantly, you can do multiple hits. Which is really nice because you can offset with a flurry of blows, which is really, really great. But you are stuck choosing. I can either attack with my flurry of blows or heal, and that's kind of the thing you got to figure out with the monk. And also, it doesn't look like there's any ranged, but I mean, as long as you're running really fast everywhere, I guess that's less of an issue.
And they at least get their key points back on a short rest. How much mileage you get out of that, of course, depends on what level you are, but that's. I think the drawback to this subclass is if its healing output is very level dependent.
Yes, and I think, but that's true for every class because you run out of spell slots
to
too,
a
right?
Point, but
right.
We're running out of time.
Well, technically we're over anyway because we started late. All right, so why don't we delve into number 2? The Divine Soul Sorcerer.
Which was Brandon's number 1 pick, actually.
Yes, and Brandon wanted to make sure that got a shout out, so kudos to you for making sure you give that shout out to him. Yep. So the Divine Soul Sorcerer, this, for obvious reasons, puts it in the top tier meta magic. So regardless of what spell you pick, being able to twin your spell is a huge advantage when it becomes a healer.
Yep.
You have anything else you want to add to that?
They also have full access to the cleric's entire spell list.
Yes. You're a cleric? Well, I'm a better one.
Except for the part where they're still sorcerers and they only know a small amount of spells, and adding an entire spell list on top of all that does not make that any easier for them. Quite the opposite, actually.
So gaining access to some of those spells, like I think you get Cure Wounds as soon as you select it, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so if you're good, you get Cure Wounds. If you're evil, you get Inflict Wounds. If you're lawful, you get Bless. If you're chaotic, you get Bane. And neutrality gets protection from good and evil.
Right.
Ooh, twin spell Rabbi.
There you go. Oh, you knocked them both out. Boom, get back up, bitches. You ain't got no time to sleep. One of the cool, and there's more than that, right? So that's the most obvious use of the meta magic. But there's other ones too, like Empowered spell, which allows you to re-roll low rolls, which is super great for increasing the chance of doing better healing. Or is that Heightened spell? Heightened spell.
No, it's Empowered Healing.
Are you talking about the feature?
No. So, Empowered spell is when you roll a damage one. Heightened spell is when you cast a spell that forces you to make. Yeah, no, I think it's an ability on here. It's not.
It's a divine. What you're talking about is the Divine Soul feature, Empowered Healing, starting at 6th level. Right. The divine energy coursing through. You can empower healing spells whenever you or an ally within 5 feet of you roll dice to determine the number of hit points that a spell restores. You can use 1 sorcery point to re-roll any number of those dice.
Yeah.
Wow, any number of those dice.
Any number, yes.
Wow.
Nope, I'm done. So that right there is really cool. But the other thing I wanted to, this is where I meant to go to, with the meta magic, when you do extended or distance spell, if you cast a spell with touch, Cure Wounds, its range becomes 30 feet, which is not quite as good as having a familiar running around and healing people. But by the way, if you ever play Lunar Silverstar Story, I totally want to play a Celestial Warlock that has the little null that runs up. Hey, get up! Anyways,
there's 2 things on here I'm surprised you have not mentioned.
I'm okay. What are they? Let's talk about them.
Favorite of the gods.
Yes, that was the next point we got to make because that's super powerful.
Because knowing your arguments for the bard.
Yes, it is very good because it is avoidant. So for people that don't know, the favored by the gods at 1st level when you pick the divine, if you fail a saving throw or miss an attack roll, you can roll 2d4 and add it to the total for possible change. Once you use this feature, it does come back on a short rest, which is super nice. But the problem with this is it only applies to you. But if you're dead, you can't heal people. So I'm going to count that as a win.
Yep. And also worth mentioning too is their 18th level ability, Unearthly Recovery.
Is awesome.
Oh, I'm down to less than half my hit points. I gain half of them back.
I mean, if you just barely tip, you can pretty much almost go to full, which is great.
Yeah.
Was there any other points you wanted to touch on here, Alex?
Oh, just that this is a beautiful subclass, and I absolutely love it and want to play it really bad. That's all.
Yeah, it's great. The other thing that I really think makes this really good is they have the meta magic extend, which doubles the duration of a spell. So if you cast like Bless, you can double the duration, which is super useful in more than one, especially if you end up getting into 2 back-to-back encounters.
Or regeneration.
Look at that. I love it. So the meta magic is really what makes this good. I mean, think about being able to quicken and extend your cure wounds. You can now use Cure Wounds at a distance as a bonus action, which is awesome.
All right. And now let's go for another 1 pick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I
don't think the Life Domain Cleric is the best healer. I still think it's the Lore Bard, but yeah.
The Life Domain Cleric. I'm going to say this now. Its only con is it eventually runs out of spell slots.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, God. All right, Alex, why don't you tell us what you think about this being the number 1 pick?
I mean, just supreme healing at 17th level when you would normally roll 1 or more dice to restore a hit point with a spell, and instead use the highest possibility for each die. For example, instead of restoring 2d6 hit points, you just automatically restore 12. I think that just speaks for itself.
And not to mention your channel divinity can also heal any creatures of your choice within 30 feet up to 5 times your cleric level.
Justin is a little salty that he is wrong.
Look. Okay, so like you have to understand the life domain cleric. If I'm not mistaken, I remember life domain cleric in 3.5, and it was just as broken as this one. Like it was just like as like heals as this one. And so like
you get a heal.
You get a heal. So it totally makes sense to me that this is obviously going to be the number one healer of all time. But the thing is, like, honestly, have you ever had someone play a life domain cleric at a 5e game? Because I haven't.
I have one.
The closest I played with light, but that's because I wanted fireball.
Yes. So the actual, in my opinion, based on the player that I had in this, the channel divinity is actually one of the most potent ways to play the cleric for healing, because it doesn't consume spell slots and it recharges on a short rest, and it's a pretty damn good healing spell. So
you can restore a number of hit points equal to 5 times your cleric level.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so that may not seem like a big deal, but the fact that it regenerates on a short rest gives it a heads up above the rest.
Right. And it's also worth mentioning that their first level ability, Disciple of Life, as was already mentioned.
Yes.
It just adds 2 plus the spell's level to the amount healed, and that will scale very fast.
Yeah. And what's really cool is some powers, there's another ability that once you start casting those spells and healing other people, it heals you as well, which is really nice. So there's a lot going into this that just makes it easier to keep the cleric alive and to keep other people alive. And obviously, from a straight numbers perspective, it absolutely out-heals everyone.
And not to mention the fact that they actually have access to heavy armor.
Yep. Heavy armor or medium armor?
Heavy.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
They're tanks. Armor. They're a very tanky healer.
It's like, so I'm envisioning them running in, fighting, beating the crap out of kobolds, looking, he needs heals. You're going to have to wait. I'll come whip your ass in a minute, and then run off and heal somebody.
That'd be amazing.
And finish the job.
But simply put, when it comes to just raw numbers, you can't beat these guys.
Yeah. But that's also one of the reasons, once again, I think that while the raw numbers are very powerful, I think avoiding a single big attack potentially every turn is better. That's just my opinion.
These guys can do it too.
And I'm not saying, and there is points to that. Like Bane is similar, right? But it's not a cantrip, man. It's not a vicious mockery. So
that's not and that's not kind of the other debuffs clerics can do too.
Yeah, but that's part of it. So if they do those other debuffs, they are pulling away from their healing pool. So which is going to be any healer, I think. So overall, what are as a healer, what did we miss anything in this top 5 list?
Yes.
Okay, what did we miss?
The Circle of Dreams Druid.
It's in honorable mentions.
It should be higher.
Okay, so I'm salty about the Lore Bard. He's salty about the Druid. We can't all win.
I'm just happy with my Divine Soul Sorcerer.
Yeah,
I'm like, yay!
It put out towards the top, that's for sure. So, once again, these are just our opinions. They're not set in stone. I didn't run statistical analysis. I just picked what I think, what was some of the tops, and then we kind of just gave them ratings and went with it. But this is I'm confident in this list, and I hope that all of you listening will walk away with a new view of the Lore Bard as the number 1 healer. I mean, the third. What level was it? 4th? Damn it! How did it get down to 4?
I also want to mention that for people who are listening to the podcast and aren't able to see the notes, Justin tried to put the Lore Bard higher by putting a 0.6 instead of a 1, because we ranked them 1 to 5, and he put a 0.6 to make the Lore Bard high, not the 5th. Not you put it because if you had you put it at 1, that would be the lowest one, right?
All the rest of them are whole numbers, but I gave that a decimal, so it would be bigger. I'm so petty. Wow, I'm gonna need a glass of water. It's salty in here. All right.
And I do want to give the shout out to the Circle of Dreams Druid, because they do get balled out of Summer Court, which is basically healing word on crack, similar to what the Warlord does, but better.
Yeah, your druid doesn't have a pet, though, to deliver him.
But they can teleport their allies.
Okay.
And
That's
their
great.
path feature.
I can see a benefit to that. That's a good avoidance ability.
Oh crap! Just like patrol. Steve, come here. What the?
Now, I do want to say this was on the list prior. I made an audible call and switched it with the Way of Mercy monk.
While I was asleep.
Well, you know what? You shouldn't be sleeping. Sleep is for the weak. All right, so that'll do it for our main topic today: the top 5 best healing subclasses, according to Crit Academy-ish and Alex Baum. So, how about we get ready to move on to our unearthed tips and tricks?
Hey GMs, who needs bad guys? We all do. How about more than 30 villains oven ready for your campaign? Kabooter Games presents Villains Next Door, everyday people who have a gaping, pitiless void where they should have a conscience. Designed by a diverse team of creators, each villain has a history, goals, and 3 story seeds you can use with any system. And each comes with a 5e stat block. Funding on Indiegogo right now. Villains Next Door, common people with uncommon evil. Visit bit.ly/villains next door and back it today.